Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome in advance of the storm. As we've been hearing today, there's the massive storm arriving, but today things are still calm, and we'd like to welcome you. Please introduce yourselves in the chat. If you're not speaking, mute your audio, the usual things. But this is a really interactive session. Please, any questions, queries, anything, please put that into the chat box. We, as you'll have seen, are already recording this webinar. We're not going to be recording the group discussions at the end. Next slide, Kirsten. So today, as with all of these sessions, we have a theme that we're focusing on. The important bit, though, of the session is to hear from you and to hear from our contributor for the day, who's going to be focusing on the curriculum change and maths and numeracy. But the focus is looking at all the changes that are underway in terms of education reform, and particularly where Learning for Sustainability sits in these, and also linking that to the GTC standards. So next slide, Kirsten, and you can see the programme. I'm just doing a brief introduction now and setting the scene for the theme, the curriculum improvement cycle, and then I'm going to hand over to Suzanne Aldous from GTC Scotland, our partner, and then to hear from Shona Goodall, who's got the focus on maths and numeracy in relation to this, and then it's over to you, and we will be definitely finishing by 5:15. So quickly setting the scene then, what is the curriculum improvement cycle and how does it relate to Learning for Sustainability? Well, I think those of you here all know that sustainability is a national priority here in Scotland. And you can see on the left here, Scotland's national outcomes, which have social, environmental and economic sustainability right at their heart. And I love this image because it shows alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And really our country is pushing and was one of the first countries to sign up for these ambitious goals, and the national outcomes align with these. And then, of course, our theme is education and learning, and that underpins all these United Nations goals. It underpins everything in relation to our national outcomes, and it's a national priority for education in Scotland, and also it's highlighted in the current programme for government. So next slide, Kirsten. Again, this particular definition won't be new at all to you, I hope. As you know, in Scotland, in terms of schools and education in schools, Learning for Sustainability is a cross-curricular approach, but underpinning it is this purpose to build a socially just, sustainable and equitable society and world through a whole setting approach in Scotland and transformative learning experiences. Now, next slide, Kirsten. As you know, the curriculum evolution is underway in Scotland. It follows recommendations which were part of the OECD review of Scottish education. And the review recognised that Curriculum for Excellence itself is pretty strong, but made recommendations about how it could be strengthened even further. And that's what is being termed the curriculum improvement cycle, specific recommendations to do with curriculum review, which are seen in a cyclical way. Let me just share with you Education Scotland's explainer video, which really outlines what the curriculum improvement cycle process is going to be in Scotland. So Kirsten, I don't know if you can share that with everyone now. And many of you will have seen this already. It's a very brief and I think good explainer video.
We're in the process of reviewing the Scottish curriculum. In Scotland, we call this the curriculum improvement cycle. One of the reasons that we're reviewing the curriculum in Scotland is because the OECD said in June 2021 that Scotland should establish a systematic approach to curriculum review. It's not the only external report that suggested this. For example, the National Discussion on Education, which reported in May 2023, said that a regular curriculum review process should be established to ensure that the curriculum remains fit for purpose, reflects contemporary learner needs, and can be effectively delivered in ways to ensure that all learners in Scotland have high-quality, curricular-linked learning experiences. Since the publication of the OECD review, the Scottish Government and Education Scotland worked with the OECD to look at how different countries reviewed their curriculum. It also established a short-life curriculum review co-design group to think about what this might mean for the Scottish context. The group has established and proposed a 4-stage model for curriculum review in Scotland. The first stage is about analysing, making sure that all parts of the review cycle are based on evidence. The second stage is around engaging and co-creating, making sure that the curriculum is co-created with those working closest with children and young people. Stage 2 of the model is also about co-creating the implementation strategy that's associated with curriculum review, as well as co-creating curriculum. Stage 3 is all about implementation in our schools and settings. We call this sharing the learning and adopting, and as you can imagine, it has a high focus on professional learning and development. Stage 4 of the model is about mobilising, monitoring and evaluating to make sure that what we set out to do is actually realised in practice. We've also noted that as part of the curriculum review cycle, it would start and finish with an exercise not dissimilar to the national discussion. If you're interested to find out more about the curriculum improvement cycle, you can visit scotlandscurriculum.scot to find out the latest news and information, or you can find out more information on the Education Scotland website.
Brilliant. If you could go back to the main PowerPoint again, Kirsten, just to say following that we're currently in this second stage of the process. So the stage really at which, as you can see here, they, and by they I mean Scottish Government and Education Scotland, is engaging and co-creating. And so there are massive opportunities for us all to get involved and for Learning for Sustainability to be enacted through this process. Next slide, Kirsten. And that's becoming really quite clear in relation to the documents that are coming out. There have been 2 documents so far. The first one was just setting out the case for change. The more recent one at the end of last year, towards an evolved technical framework, is something which was looking at how teachers are actually going to be enabled to plan this in their work. So the first document said that the process would actually be and it looked at the case for change. It had these 5, as you can see, key parts of it, which are to do with the rationale, decluttering, clarifying what knowledge is, recognizing differences between curriculum areas, repositioning the cross-curricular themes such as learning for sustainability, and providing clarity and simplifying guidance. And then the second document, towards an evolved technical framework, which was published in December, it built on those recommendations in the first report, and it's trying to set out the options for the framework that you'll all be using for your planning. And so it's suggesting a particular structure which has three main parts of it. First of all, establishing what we want learners to understand, and that's called the big ideas. Those are the big ideas. And from this, what we want learners to know and to do. And more detail indicating the knowledge and skills could be provided at the next stage. So this is the overall framework that's being put forward. And the second document then, which was looking at this, actually looked at the criteria for the overall planning document, which will be set out in a bit more detail in the next phase. So it's interesting looking at the criteria. These are the eight areas, and you can see here that, well, you can read for yourselves that they've come through as the main criteria from the pilot curriculum reviews. And I won't read out these 8 main areas, save to say that in relation to learning for sustainability, the one in blue at the bottom is particularly important. Having a clear position in terms of cross-curricular themes and expectations. And in the second document that came out in December, this is a quote on the right-hand side, which used one of the cross-curricular themes, political literacy. It highlighted the commitment to sustainability and social justice, and how this might align with the existing 4 capacities, which are not going to change in the new technical framework. So this actually is important in relation to learning for sustainability, and this is the thing to be looking at, how this emerges and develops. So we're waiting, the next one, Kirsten, for the next publication, the third document, which is going to build on the options and, I suppose, tighten them up. And the great thing about this whole process is the level of engagement. So they're really, Education Scotland, Scottish Government are very keen to have engagement from practitioners and anyone that is a stakeholder. There are these sessions coming up, and we'll be sharing this with you afterwards. There are 3 sessions which really look at this in a bit more detail, and you can register for them over the next 3 weeks. And in order to have the Learning for Sustainability voice in there, it's important to engage. And then the next one, Kirsten, is that there's an awful lot more information. This is being led, if you like, by Education Scotland and Scottish Government, but loads of practitioners, and I'm sure a lot of you are already involved in it, but if you're not, then, please do get involved in this whole process. It is a process, not something that is being delivered from on high. And also, Education Scotland are recruiting curriculum area experts to contribute to the work. So, and I think there's a deadline of maybe next week or the week after if you're interested. So, really, this is something that you can get engaged with and involved with, and it's important that that you do.